Welcome to Milking the Franchise, the Cash Cow Chronicles, where me and Chris watch
movies. Hey, Tanner.
We're getting really good for being half a world apart, Chris. We're getting pretty good at that.
We're so in sync right now.
So in sync. Feels good to be back, Street boys. Let's go. How are you, Chris?
I'm doing good. Yeah, kind of a slow week here. Trying to think. I just took a big nap, so I'm either going to be super drowsy or super wired from all the coffee I'm drinking right now. We'll find out when we get going. Yeah.
All right, big nap. That sounds fun.
Yeah, dude, my life's pretty exciting. What's going on your end?
Just took a small nap, just a small nap on my side.
Okay.
I just got back from the dentist, so my teeth are sparkly. If you hear like a loud like shing kind of sound, that's my clean teeth.
Like an audible shimmer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you hear it?
Yeah. Oh,
much
I can
like
hear it.
The knife boots from Roadhouse 1.
Absolutely.
They are sparkly. Swing. Yeah, this is the podcast where me and Chris, my name's Tanner, we watch every movie in a franchise and we kind of live in it and, read books and watch the spin-off shows and play the games that come along with it and just kind of explore the franchise a lot and see how it gets milked. That sound right?
Yeah, I think that was a great explanation.
All right. I finally got it down.
Dude, you got your elevator pitch. Yeah, we're there. And right now, Tanner kind of gave the rundown, but right now we're watching the Roadhouse movies in order. We started with the 1989 cult classic, and then we watched the what year did that direct-to-DVD thing we watched last week come out? 2006. Direct-to-DVD sequel called Last Call was last week, and this week we're going to spend most of the time talking about this year's Jake Gyllenhaal reboot.
Yeah, straight to streaming. So it's not direct to video; it's elevated, I guess. Straight to streaming. But yeah, it's still a big budget movie,
It is.
Yeah. So that just came out a few months ago. We're going to cover that. Before we get into that, we have surveys that we release with each episode and each movie and ask people to make some jokes with us and answer some questions. At the top, we like to go over last week's episode, so we're going to talk about Roadhouse 2, Last Call.
If you haven't seen it, I recommend keeping it that way.
Definitely keep it that way, unless you're a true completionist and you have not a lot going on in your life.
Yeah.
Check it out. All right, so Roadhouse 2, Last Call, favorite connection to the original. We got a tie here between the mini monster truck and the thought you'd be bigger line. So, yeah, there was like a tiny miniature. Was it the same monster truck as in the movie?
It was the same color, so I'm assuming it was that Bigfoot monster truck that you told us about when we listened or when we did our episode on Roadhouse 1.
When we did our spin-off monster truck episode.
Yes. Mm-hmm. They're trucks that turn into monsters.
Hey, there's a good idea. They haven't done a movie like that. Transformers monster trucks.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Most illogical part of this movie. That would be slot machine in the living room, or they can only deal drugs in one specific bar.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about both of those things last week.
We did, yeah. Both very illogical, both very ridiculous.
Speaking of not seeing the movie, it's definitely one that you want to listen to our podcast instead of watching the movie. Where some of you you want to see the movie then listen. Mm-hmm. That movie you just want to listen to us talk about it because It's not worth your time to watch.
But it is worth your time to experience through the filter of our silly little jokes and camaraderie. You know,
sometimes the worst ones are the funniest ones to talk about for sure.
Yeah.
And then best part of a fan boat. Another huge part of that is it took place on a swamp. Best part of the fan boat would be the bayou drive-bys.
Great.
And threatening people with your whole squad on the boat.
Which is kind of like a drive-by. Just
it's
not
a drive-by
quite
without
level.
It had a drive-by feeling to it, but they were only shooting words. Let's see. What kind of tramp stamp would you get? We got a large butterfly. The larger the butterfly, the trampier she is.
Ooh, I like that.
If you can't see what it is, it's so big going up the shirt.
I'm imagining it climbing halfway up your back.
And then an American flag, of course.
Good.
And then Tanner putting questions into a Google form.
It's very specific, but I think that's a good place for that tattoo.
Is like a picture. It's like a picture of me from behind on a computer.
Yep. And you can kind of see the grid from Google Forms on there.
And then it says, if you look really close with the magnifying glass, it says what kind of tramp stamp would you get
Exactly.
in the question field.
It's this screen right now that you're looking at.
And that answer is in there as well.
This tramp stamp's getting very meta, but yes, all of that's there.
Baja Blast. Like the Mountain Dew?
Oh, yeah. The logo. Mm-hmm.
Apparently they have a new Doritos Baja Blast.
Really?
The review I heard was that it just tastes like the soda drink, which is not a good review. Yeah. I guess that was the point.
I mean, I guess if you're going to make it, what else would you expect, though?
I feel like Doritos and Mountain Dew are a pairing. You know what I mean? Like that is, if I was like a sommelier for snacks, I'd be like, you want to pair your Mountain Dew with your
definitely.
Doritos. You know?
Yeah, you got to. With it's that the yellow 5 in the Mountain Dew is really good at getting the cheesy crumbles off your fingers. That orange flavor powder.
Yeah, just pour.
They just they go together so well.
You know what they say? That goes together. They go together like Mountain Dew and Doritos.
They do say that.
And then Daddy's Little Guy, written in stick and poke.
Mm-hmm. Like a prison tattoo, you know?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Then we asked, besides so what's a better title name than Last Call for this sequel? Roadhouse 2, what? Then we got Roadhouse Double Deuce. I like that one quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
Roadhouse 2 Tramp Mural.
Tramp Mural. Okay.
And Roadhouse 2 Fanboat Blitz.
Ooh, I like that one. That one might be my favorite. Yeah,
that's pretty good. And then we got Double Down on the Bayou. Hell yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then rate Roadhouse 2 Last Call. We got about 1.5 out of 5 on average.
Yep. And I believe the scale that we had on that one was no throat rips to yes throat rips or something like that.
True, yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And it had throat rips.
They had no throat rips. Yeah.
Again, they sorely missed out on opportunities in this new one, but at least, a little tease. They did a lot of crazy stuff in this new one.
Yes.
So thanks for taking the survey. There'll be one for this movie as well, the new Roadhouse, and then we'll go over it next week.
Yeah. So take a peek at the show notes. That's where you can find that little link. And jump in there. Help us make some jokes.
Absolutely.
Should we jump over to the new one?
Let's do it.
All right, man.
This movie just came out, so it's maybe like 2 months old. And it's directed by Doug Liman, who's done a lot of pretty good stuff. Like The Edge of Tomorrow, one of my favorite sci-fi movies in the last 10 years.
Is that Tom Cruise one?
Yeah, the Live, Die, Repeat or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good movie.
A great movie. Still underrated, I feel like. And then he did the original Bourne Identity, started that franchise. And then he did like Swingers and Mrs. and Mrs. Smith, or Mr. and Mrs. Smith. So he's been around. He's been doing some stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. I felt like Doug Liman was probably a strength of this movie for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, this movie was very well put together.
Yeah.
And you mentioned it going straight to streaming. I remember seeing an article. He was not very happy about that.
Yeah.
The director of this movie was pretty pissed that it did not get a theatrical release.
Yeah, I read something about that as well. But I think Amazon was like, hey, they said they put up billions of dollars to make like a whole bunch of like big budget movies and stuff like that for the next 10 years. But their plan the whole time was to just not go to theaters and go straight to streaming. I don't know. It probably would have made a bunch of money in the box office because it kind of had a memeable quality to it, Seems like the only things that people go out for are something like weird and different these days.
Yeah, and I feel like this applies to a pretty broad audience. There's a lot of like, I don't know,
UFC fighting and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, like some red state stuff for sure.
A lot of girls would have turned up for them hot bods, and guys like to see all the bloody action and fighting
and all that Post Malone bare knuckle content in this movie. That would have brought the crowds, dude.
Speaking of, Chris, where do you want to start with Roadhouse?
We should probably start, as I just mentioned, with Mr. Iverson himself, with Post Malone.
Austin Post.
Yeah.
I guess that's his real name, yeah.
We start in a bar. They're doing bare knuckle boxing, and Post Malone is one of the boxers, and he is kicking the shit out of this guy who's bald and quite a bit bigger than him. And it seems kind of like an open
his
mic
name
night for fighting.
You know what that other guy's name is? Mr. Bald.
Did you catch it? Mr. Bald. Okay. Wonderful. Real character building with that one. And we see Jessica Williams from the Jon Stewart era Daily Show, and what's that other show she's in now? Shrinking. She shows up, and she is watching these fights, and a mysterious man in a hooded sweatshirt comes in and sits down to kind of fight next, to fight Post Malone after Mr. Bald.
Yeah, so Chris, we talked about in the first two movies. The first movie starts with the title Roadhouse coming up over like a chick's butt as she's walking in, right?
Yeah.
And then the second movie missed an opportunity to do that with those two girls.
Such a blown opportunity. I'm still upset about it.
So this movie sort of rights the ship and instead has it over Jake Gyllenhaal's butt when he gets out of the car.
And it is a great butt. Good work, Jake.
I mean, it's not quite as emphasized on the butt, but it is from behind.
Yeah. After the last movie, I was really hoping that underneath his hooded sweatshirt, he was going to have a DEA t-shirt on.
I wish.
Yeah, me too. Anyway, so Jake Gyllenhaal shows up. He is the Dalton character in this movie, and Post Malone refuses to fight him. He's scared. He won't fight that guy. He just something about this Jake Gyllenhaal Dalton character he's unfuckwittable, as the kids say.
Kids say that?
No.
I've been called unfuckable, but unfuckwittable. Yeah. So yeah, he just won't fight him, and he walks out, and Jake Gyllenhaal gets the money from the fight without even having to do anything. And I guess that's what he does. He just shows up and gets money. Like, people are too scared to fight him. You don't know why yet. But somebody's really pissed off about it outside. He's like, "You cost me $500," and he immediately stabs him. And Jake Gyllenhaal just kind of.
You sure you thought this all the way through?
Yeah, he just sits there with a knife in him and just stares at him. And so this next scene, like, Jessica Williams comes out to ask him to come clean up the bar, just like in the other two movies. We need somebody to clean up my bar, the Roadhouse bar, and we think you'd be the guy to do that. All the while, he's got a knife just sticking out of him. So it's kind of played for laughs here.
Big time. He pulls it out and covers it up with duct tape. It's like for sure played for laughs. This is not a knife injury we're supposed to worry about, but he's a hardcore MFer. That's what we're supposed to get from these first little bit. Yeah. Jessica Williams' character's name is Frankie, and her bar is in the Florida Keys. So kind of like the second one took place in the bayou, this one has a very specific setting. But I think this movie used that setting to much greater effect than the last movie.
They got a lot of the bits right for this movie, the tone and all that.
Yeah.
They had some crazy ideas and some hard hitting feeling to it. I feel like they were a little afraid to kill people off, maybe, but they definitely went there with the violence.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's gonna pay him $5,000 a week to clean up this place. And at first he says, "No, I'm good. I'd rather just be getting stabbed in the parking lot of these shitty places that he's at." And that night I believe it's later that night, he's like all depressed and he's in his car. He kind of lives out of his car, it seems like, and he drives it onto a train track and is going to kill himself. At the last second, he sees what made him change his mind. Was there something specific?
I don't know. I think he sees the train coming. He just says maybe not. So I don't know that there's no like he remembers his mom loves him or anything like that. It's just he changes his mind. And his car barely starts and gets off the tracks, not even in time to miss the train. The train clips the back of the car, but just in time for him to survive. And the first thing that he sees after this big kind of car crash that he created himself was the phone number that Frankie left. And so it's off to Florida.
This movie, like, the car gets hit by the train in the back, and like, it's got this special effects in this movie are like good, but also kind of it's like cartoonish in a way. You know what I'm saying? Maybe that's just how CGI looks these days, but like it kind of gets all like fast and so like the punching even in this opening scene. It looks very real, like how close they're getting to the face, but I think it's like CGI. Am I wrong?
You might be right.
When they land the fist into somebody's face, it like kind of it looks slightly different, and it looks very real and brutal. And I know they can't be doing that, so I don't know.
Do you think that they CGI'd the punches? Is that kind of what you're thinking there?
Like it's like they shot it normal up until, and then just like kind of did some CGI in the like the where
a little bit of
touch
up to make that look more like a okay,
and a little speed up. Like the way the camera work is and during these fight scenes is very, very unique.
Yes,
it feels like a evolution of the Jason Bourne kind of fighting, but with a little bit more CGI.
Sure.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah.
I just thought that was interesting in this movie. Yeah. Where did we go next after that?
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of implied that he calls Frankie, but he heads to the Florida Keys. Or I guess it's not, because he shows up not really sure where to go. He goes to the Florida Keys. He drives across this big bridge, and we meet I don't know, a character. We kind of meet the character that gives him a little bit more of an like emotional grounding. There's this girl named Charlie who works at this little bookstore on the island where the Roadhouse is,
called Glass Keys.
Yeah.
Glass Keys bookstore.
Is there a Glass Key? Did you look that up? Is that a real place?
I'll look it up right now. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Glass Key, Florida.
All right.
Wait. Yeah, it's a real spot in the Florida Keys.
All right, cool.
I guess there's a lot of towns with a key as like it's something key. So yeah, you got Glass Key.
Well, I think it's the keys are the islands, right? So I'm assuming that's one island.
Okay, so they just instead of saying like something island like Camino Island here in Washington, it's
exactly
Glass Island, Glass Key. It's like a
yes.
I see. Okay. Yep. Did you catch the store right next to the bookstore, Chris, when he shows up?
There's a liquor store there. I didn't catch the other one though.
The Double Deuce restaurant right next door.
Oh, that's a nice little touch. I did not notice that. It
little Easter egg
over my head. Yeah, that's nice.
Yep.
And they talk a little bit about on the bridge on the way over. There's a famous old tree that's been growing out of the concrete named Fred. Just a little bit of world building that they completely ignored in the last movie, but it really sets it in Florida. I kind of wish Jessica Williams had done a little bit more of an accent for her part of Florida, but outside of that, I think they really they had some nice touches that made it feel like it's in a place, you know?
What's a Florida accent sound like?
I don't know. She just sounds so New York to me, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that's just because she was on the Daily Show and that was in New York.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't know. Yeah, so he shows up, kind of asks around, and ends up figuring out where the Roadhouse is. His name is Elwood Dalton in this movie, and he heads in, and just like the other movies, gets a coffee and starts chatting.
Yeah, and they have some references to the name of the bar is called just Roadhouse or the Roadhouse, right?
Yeah.
So throughout, I have it written down right here. Yeah, throughout he like makes references to it or like questions why is it called the Roadhouse? Isn't it a one word like a Roadhouse bar? It's a type of bar, and they're like, yeah, that's the joke. It's the Roadhouse. I don't know. Is that? Do you have any thoughts on that conversation in this movie?
I didn't understand that.
Me either.
Because
I don't
maybe I don't
deal is.
understand Roadhouse as like a phrase, like on its own.
Well, I only know it because of the first movie.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get the idea of it's a Roadhouse bar. It's like off the road in the middle of nowhere, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't get the 2-word was a joke thing, which made me feel a little stupid. Maybe I'm a little stupid, Tanner. It might be.
I think they're trying to make a joke, trying to make it seem like a joke because the bar is called Roadhouse. It's like, aren't we clever? We named the bar the Roadhouse Bar, and that's why it's called Roadhouse, because it's not really on the road, or I guess it is on the road. But it's not out in the middle of nowhere as some of the other places are, right? Maybe I'm wrong about that too.
No, I mean, if it's on one of those little islands, I think it's. I
guess it's pretty remote.
Yeah. I'm also seeing on your screen right now. I do think Glass Key is made up based on some of the keywords there.
Oh, really?
Right, fictional Glass Key in the Florida
Keys. You're right.
Glass Key, Coronado Beach, Vice City, 7 famous fictional places. So anyway.
Oh, yeah. Good call.
Yeah. So they made that up. Great name for an island, though. I really, I thought that was nice.
Hey, why did you think they call it Glass Key, huh? Because of all the drugs. That was another rep joke in this movie. Which I also didn't understand that joke. Do you get that one? Is that a key bump, like a doing cocaine out off of a key, or what is the?
I mean, glass key, would it be like a meth joke? Like glass is meth? Yeah, I don't know. Neither one of us have done enough to really be.
Although it's not. This movie wasn't really about drugs at all, was it?
Not really, was it?
Yeah,
it was a development, an evil developer kind of a plot.
Yeah.
But anyways, so Dalton's sipping his coffee, and he says, "Nice place you got here. It's peaceful," and that's kind of like an ironic thing for us to lead into that big fight montage that these movies always start with, just showing that the patrons of these bars just love breaking bottles and fucking shit up, and we get a nice little montage of that set to the house band led by Natalie Bergman. But the house band kind of changes in this one, so I didn't listen to any music.
How did you know her name?
I paused it and looked.
Oh, okay.
I thought she was going to be like the
new Joe Healy or
exactly Jeff Healy, the new Jeff Healy for this movie, but they didn't really pick one. They played a bunch of different.
Or Otto, James Otto.
James Otto, yep.
Yeah, I was wondering where they were going to go with that too. I was like, oh, this is the new band, but they seem to just have different bands in there every time. But what they did get right is not only is the band behind a cage, but the band, I know that it seems like they did it on purpose. Keeps playing every time there's a huge fight. The band is always playing throughout, which I was very happy to see.
Me too.
That's been a running thread of this pod the last couple weeks.
Yeah, those scenes are so fucking iconic in these movies. It's just letting the music go and watching people fight. And they did those scenes really well in this movie.
Because they have the band playing, and it's supposed to be like, in movies, how there's two types of music or whatever. There's music that's happening on screen, then there's music that just like is added in over.
Yeah.
I can't remember the actual names for them in filmmaking, but Yeah, they wanted to keep that music going because otherwise it would just be either silent once it transitions, or you'd have to put on some like, just I don't know, some big name band and buy the rights to some song. Anyway, so I love that they keep it going.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah, we get a nice bar fight. Same as in the other movies. Dalton just kind of sits around and watches until Dell and the boys come in. One of those boys is credited with the name Outlaw Chad, which made me laugh. And they're just kind of being dicks about everything. They're stealing people's pool tables. They're breaking pool cues. They're shoving people. They're throwing stuff, knocking tables over. Just being real outlaw Chads about everything, you know?
Outlaw Chad. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, he gets him to go outside. Oh yeah. He's like, "Can we take this outside?" They said, "Who the fuck are you?" Basically, and he's like, "Hey, those are your motorcycles out front." And he walks outside and like he's going towards their motorcycles, and they're like, "Wait, what the fuck? What's this guy doing?" So he gets him outside by doing that, and then
pretty clever. I like that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Basically tricks him into taking it outside, and then he just slaps the fuck out of all of them.
Yes,
he's like brutally slapping and like just kind of fucking with him a little bit.
After he asks them if they have insurance too.
Yes.
Yeah.
This movie starts off with a lot of those, like a lot of jokes about, do you have insurance? You're going to need a hospital. Luckily, there's a hospital 25 minutes away.
Yeah.
And then the best part of all, after he kicks the shit out of him and like breaks an arm, he drives them all to the hospital.
He borrows his boss's car to do it too. Yeah.
He literally takes them, all these guys that were just like trying to kill, and later on are going to continue to like try to kill him.
Yeah.
But in this moment, though, they let him take them to the hospital.
Yeah, and he tells the orderly in the ER, like, that one's got a concussion, this guy's got a broken arm, that one's got.
Yeah.
It's a pretty fun opening scene at the Roadhouse. I thought
these guys were gonna have, like, after that they were gonna like be kind of tamed or something. Because I mean they. Seems like they would have tried to like continue to kill him on the car ride over or something.
Yeah,
but I guess they don't really know who he is yet. Anyway, so they get to the hospital, and this is where he meets the new hot doctor, played by, her name is Ellie, and it's played by Daniela Melchior. Melchior, Portuguese woman. She's in Fast 10 and some other stuff.
Okay.
She was.
What was she in Fast 10?
She was like the new female lead in that movie.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember whose love interest she is, but she's in it. And she's also in The Suicide Squad, which was like the reboot to Suicide Squad. She's like one of the main people in that.
Cool.
I was going to say, as far as The Suicide Squad, this movie, and they made the joke that the place was called the Roadhouse, right? The bar is called that. This movie should have been called The Roadhouse. Much like they
should have done
Suicide Squad with The Suicide Squad. They should have called this The Roadhouse.
Apparently it's a joke, so it works on extra levels, right?
Also just to differentiate itself a little bit, I don't know.
Yeah.
This movie's got a little bit of controversy going on, but we'll get there at the end. Yeah, so he meets this girl. Anything you want to say on that?
Yeah, we get a couple little callbacks. Do you ever win a fight? No one ever wins a fight. Is a line from the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And he won't take stitches because he can't afford them, so he just takes some like antibiotic and some gauze. And fixes. She kind of helps him fix up that knife wound that he got in the very first scene outside the Post Malone fight. But that's about all I got on this scene.
It just starts bleeding through his shirt. She's like, "You sure you don't need my help?" And apparently the chemistry, the sparks are flying here. Again, he's charming the pants off her with his like just being a complete villain. Actually, this version he might be the least psychotic of all the other ones. Maybe not. Maybe he's more.
I mean, he's so like he's so placid most of the time. He's so calm most of the time, and then his whole thing is like when you set him off, he can't control himself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What did you think of Jake Gyllenhaal's performance in this? Of his take on on Dalton?
I thought it was okay. I thought it was entertaining in its own way. I don't think it stood out as much as like the Swayze one.
Yeah.
But it was fun. He kind of had this like laughiness to him before he's about to get into trouble. He's kind of like laughing and smiling and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fine. I like Jake Gyllenhaal. I think he's very watchable.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure if I loved it in this movie. What did you think?
Yeah, I think kind of the same. Overall, I thought he was really good. But I think when I see him in movies, I always like think back to like October Sky. He's such a like his face is just so all American good guy and
Boyish, yeah.
And I would have like I don't know. Yeah, he was great. He was really good. I don't know why I'm talking trash. I just like I think in my mind, like it would have been nice to have an actor whose face has a little bit more of an edge. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah,
I do know what you mean. Yeah.
But overall,
he's getting a little grungy.
Job.
He's getting a little grungy with age, though. Yeah,
that's true. And he had some tats on, and I love the shirts that they had him wearing in this movie. Yeah, I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
Where'd we go from here?
So this is where he goes back to the Roadhouse. They kind of make more references to the fact that it's the Roadhouse. She explains the joke that nobody gets. And then he's like, I need a place to stay. I saw this houseboat. She's like, oh, that's my houseboat. But my uncle named that one as well, or my dad, or whoever named the Roadhouse. And so you cut to the houseboat that he's going to stay on, and it's just called The Boat.
The Boat,
which is going to be the sequel name, I think.
You checking out The Boat this weekend? Yeah. I also liked that he already wanted to go look into staying on this boat, and she already owned it. It was another one of those like connections that these movies like to make where
there's going to be more too.
Oh, there's a bunch more, but it struck me as like, of course she owned the boat. You know, she's probably somebody's sister or something. Like in all these other like in
movies. I thought for sure that she was going to be more related even. So he gets the boat. They warn him of a crocodile in the area that happened to take someone's dog. Do you remember the dog's name? It was kind of another running.
Was it Chauncey?
I thought it was Shapoopy.
Shapoopy. Was it Shapoopy?
It wasn't Shapoopy. It should have been. But yeah, so there's the crocodile out there. That's a little foreshadowing. He wakes up the next morning, and the bartender, the nice bartender, brings him food. So this was basically a scene from the first movie as well, where he wakes up and that the other girl, not the love interest one, comes and brings him food. And like fills him in on some of the ongoings of the area, right?
I liked this scene a lot more. Because it actually made that character from the bar like a little bit more three-dimensional. Because she kind of makes a plea. It sounds like the coolers that Frankie has been hiring have only been lasting for a couple days or like a week. And she wants to quit, but she was hoping that this guy is going to stick and will be able to clean it up so she doesn't have to quit. And it makes her, I don't know. I thought they did this scene well.
Yeah, because the bar is like super nice, right on the water in Florida. It's like this. It's more of a, I don't even know, beachside bar than the
like
Roadhouse.
Tiki bar almost.
Yeah, tiki bar. It's got the straw everywhere, right?
Yeah, wouldn't a tiki man fit in at that spot?
Oh, definitely, especially a enlarged one.
Oh yeah,
the size of I don't even know, a house. Yeah. So, and you find out. Let's see. Oh, the bookstore. He goes back to the bookstore. So this is his little.
There's also a quick scene in here.
Yeah.
Boat dreams are kind of a running gag too, and we get flashbacks through his dreams to his days as a UFC fighter. And the first one of those kind of happens this night before Laura from the bar shows up. But yeah, take us to the bookstore.
You get the feeling whenever he sleeps, he's like being haunted by something that happened in a fight, whether it's just losing a fight or whatever. he doesn't do that anymore, but some people know who he is from that. And yeah, so you're at the bookstore and you find out this little girl's mom has died, and they're kind of, these people are only there just to show like this other side of him, right?
Yes.
It's like her and her family just have this small bookstore and they're trying to make it work, and her dad works another job. Really doesn't have any purpose to the plot except for having some kind of emotional charge. And later on it's used as like a, the bad guys like send a message by like burning this place down. Spoilers, but yeah. Other than that, they're just kind of showing their relationship and how sweet he can be. Right? He's like got soft spot for like, young kids and whatever.
For this cute little family that was nice to him.
And he also doesn't have a phone or anything. One thing is he doesn't use a phone at all, so he has to go here to like use the internet on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then
do we know what he's doing on the? Do we know what he's doing on the internet here?
I can't remember.
Okay, no. Neither can I.
I know he had to get on there for something, but maybe just to check his email because people, hey, you're late for work.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe that's it. He needed to send a couple quick messages to Post Malone to talk shit.
Speaking of that, Post Malone is advertised in this movie as like part of the movie, and I thought he was going to be his like Roadhouse buddy or some kind of guy at the bar.
The musician. Wouldn't it have made a ton of sense for him?
Or
to
the musician even.
Musician? Yeah.
Well, I knew he was going to be fighting because the trailer shows him in the entire trailer. Like he's part of this movie. There's advertisements everywhere where they have all these posters where each character gets like a solo shot that says Roadhouse with like a neon light. All the main characters has one. And he's got one, and he's billed as like a top 2-3 guy. And he's only like in it for a minute.
Yeah, he says 4 words.
He literally just backs out of the fight, and that's the entire thing. Anyways.
Yeah.
I wanted more Post Malone.
I did too. I was hoping he was going to have a little bit more to do, but I think they made up for it with Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor was unhinged in this movie, and it brought just the right energy for me. I hope you felt the same.
Yeah.
So
also this other guy, the other bad guy, played by Billy Magnuson, who we're going to meet right here.
Yes.
He's out on a boat. He's kind of like the big rich bad guy, the overarching kind of bad guy.
He's the Brad Wesley from the original. He's that rich asshole.
Yes. Yeah. And I love this actor. He's in a lot of stuff, and he's just like, he's kind of like this psychotic, like super good looking guy who's like, he can just turn on a dime. He doesn't even get to do it as much in this one, but he's really good. Billy Magnuson. Anyway.
What else have you seen him in that you liked?
Oh, the show Maniac. It's really good.
I did like that show. Yeah.
Made for Love was a show that what's her name from the Palm Springs movie. Kristen Milioti, and she was like, I don't know, it's some like weird sci-fi love story thing, and he was like this psycho guy that would like keep her in his house, and I don't know, he's in a lot of random stuff.
Okay, yeah, he's got a nice little unhinged side to him.
Yes,
yeah, for sure. Do you want to talk about how we meet him?
Sure. Yeah, he's getting shaved on a boat. So somebody's got like a old school barber shaver, and he's got the shaving cream on his face, and it's like a really rocky boat, and he's getting pissed off that the guy keeps like nicking him and like cutting him a little bit. Yeah, so that scene's pretty crazy too.
Yeah,
I thought it was going to get even crazier, but he ends up punching the boat captain because of the rockiness, because he can't keep the boat still. I thought
he was trying to get a shave during a storm. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought for sure he was going to kill the barber, even though the barber's just like trying his best. Yeah, what else happens on the boat? You kind of just get an idea of what these guys are doing.
Yeah. Weren't there henchmen out there talking to him?
Yeah, they're talking about wanting to tear down the Roadhouse as part of it.
Yeah, and they got to get rid of this new Dalton because he's kind of become a celebrity for what he did by beating those guys up and taking them to the hospital. He's kind of like a local celebrity at this point. Yeah, I think that's mostly that's our intro to Ben Brandt, who's the big bad guy. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then let's see. I think we go back to the Roadhouse, don't we?
Yeah, I just have music playing during knife fight. So I guess there's another knife fight.
Yep.
I can't remember who it's between or what. I think it's just more montages of Roadhouse vibes.
I think that there's this is when that band of like black kids goes up and plays, and there's that racist guy who goes up and yells at them.
Oh yeah.
And he recognizes that the guy's holding a knife, and so he sends over one of his henchmen, but tells him to like duck the knife and then punch him in the face, and it worked. Yeah.
So he's got these other coolers that he's retraining basically to be better at their job.
Mm-hmm. Do you think they were cools before, and he's making them cooler?
He's definitely anything he touches is making cooler. That guy.
Definitely.
So yeah, he gets them to get out of this knife fight and control the situation. They're learning. And then he goes outside, and the motorcycle gang is back. The guys he drove to the hospital, and they're just kind of threatening him by sitting there and looking at him.
Vroom, 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 vroom. Like
it was very intimidated. It was very much like that, but more intimidating, I would say.
Okay, like 2 more intimidations.
A little bit more vrooming, I think.
Good.
It wasn't the loudness or intensity. It was I need more vroom. Extra vroom, please. Yes.
Like more like this. Vroom.
Yes. Times
vroom, vroom, vroom. Like that. Was that intimidating?
Now you're making me laugh. Now you're just making me laugh.
Okay. Well, that was not my intention. I was really trying to be intimidating there. So I'll stew on it. See if I can come up with anything else. He hires another bartender in here. We also get a shirtless workout on the boat, which kind of calls back to the Patrick Swayze days.
The Tai Chi thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Except nobody's watching him from afar trying to fuck him.
Right, yeah. This is more just him doing his workout.
This movie's a lot less fuck, I want to fuck you, and it's more I want to kill you.
Yes.
The other movie was like, I don't know which to choose. Whichever comes first, well, I'll do. I'm gonna fuck you or kill you. I don't know which one.
I don't know which one. Yeah.
Until we get to the moment. Yeah.
Yep.
In this movie, it's just I just want to kill you. There's no fucking. There's no fucking in this movie at all.
No, you're right. There's not.
Yeah.
Huh.
Okay. There is some nudity, but that's coming up soon. Okay, but this next scene, there is some romance though. This next scene, I think, is where he goes to wherever this is. Okay, the doctor girl, the new love interest. She's at a bar or he's at a restaurant or something. Is she working at this job as well? Do you know?
I don't think so. I feel like she's going in to get food and she just sees him in there.
Okay, that's probably what it is.
Yeah, because he's trying I wrote it, so I don't know which one it is. Was it conch or conch? How am I supposed to say that?
It is conch. Yes,
conch.
They have a conversation about pronouncing it conch.
Yes.
Instead of conch, which is what he originally says. And then there's a weird like romantic theory. Did you write any of this stuff down?
No, hit me with it.
Well, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of a baffling moment. They had this talk about how one in every 50,000 conch shells produces a pink pearl or something. Mm-hmm. So they all have a pearl, but then some of them are pink and it's very rare. But then she's like, yeah, but these are caused by an infection or something like that. Irritation. And so those clams that have the pink one are in pain. And he's like, extreme irritation that leads to something beautiful. How is that not romantic? And this is them like the sparks are like their chemistry's flowing and they just have this really weird metaphor or something for romance. Does that make sense?
They either want to fuck each other or they both want to fuck a conch.
I think they want to kill the conch and fuck each other.
Okay.
And marry Jessica Williams.
And marry Austin Post is Carter. He got a character name. He didn't do anything.
See, I'm telling you, look, he's got this whole poster here. We're looking online. He's in it for 1 minute.
Yeah. Anyway.
So yeah, the conch romance theory. the conch shell romance theory is what I wrote.
I love that.
Is that romantic to you? The fact that
I mean,
this conch has to like endure pain to produce a special one.
I mean, Tanner, maybe if we were parents, we would feel more connected to that kind of thing, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know that I'm subscribing to that.
So does that mean if I have a
Pain
kid,
leads to
you know,
something beautiful. Yeah.
everyone has kid. If I get like
Junior style?
if I get an irritation during childbirth, my kid will turn out special. Maybe.
Well, you'll love it more because it brought you pain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess
it's
that's what they're saying.
theory.
The conch romance theory.
Mm-hmm.
What happens next?
Let's see. So from here, he heads home and he's walking home and he gets run off the road by a truck. Truck tries to hit him, like backs up into him. He's able to jump into the bed of the truck and the truck drives off the bridge into the water. Pretty bad henchmaning, if I'm being honest with you. You know, putting your own pickup truck off a bridge to try and kill a guy and not even killing him. Not great henchmen.
I think what the thing is, okay, the special effects in this movie, so it shows like a long shot of the car driving up into him and like hitting him. Right at the moment where it's about to hit him, it kind of does turn into this like CGI looking version of it and sped up.
Yes.
I think what they do in this movie is like they try to make it one long shot and then like blend the CGI into it at the end rather than like making a cut to a CGI scene, you know?
Yes.
So it looks strange to me. There's like something that takes me out of it.
There's like an uncanny valley thing for
Yes.
you with how they're using CGI here. Yeah, that's really interesting. Do you think that that's like? Do you think that they did that on purpose, or this is like a shortcut that we're going to need to get used to seeing more and more in movies?
Yeah, I think it's an evolution of all this stuff. You know, they're trying to blend it into the one scene where it starts off as it's a real car coming at him, and then they just kind of like blend it into it and like try to make it look as real as possible without cutting the scene away.
I noticed it in this scene for sure. Like it's a little jarring the way that
you know how it like moves kind of faster too in this weird way. Like the frame rate changes. Yeah.
Anyway,
it's something I've been. You know, I'm halfway done with my thesis on the history of special effects that we talked about last week.
Well, great. I can't wait to read it. Yeah, can't wait to read it.
Yeah. So what happens? He gets knocked off, right?
He does. He ends up in the ocean.
Water. Yeah.
Caribbean. What's going on down there? Yeah, ends up in the water. And then the next scene shows him getting back to the boat. He's dripping wet, and the guy he beat up, Dell, is there, and he's got a gun. And you know, they're getting in the way of their plans with the roadhouse, and so he's there to kill him. But he doesn't do a very good job. Again, bad henchmaning. So Dalton kicks a table into him and is able to disarm him, kicks him out through the window into the harbor outside. And immediately, what happens, Tanner?
Well, he throws a shotgun in the water, and the guy's like, "You fucking idiot. I'm just going to climb back up now. You're not going to shoot me." And he's like, "I don't have to shoot you," or whatever he says. And then the gator immediately shows up and kills the guy. A brutal gator death scene. I mean, yeah. I don't know how he knew the gator would just be there right away, but it worked out.
Yes.
And you know, he doesn't have to worry about the cops finding this guy's body because, as we all know, gators like to hide their food. They
sure do. We hear that 3 or 4 times in the immediate aftermath of this. But I will say, I love that there was a gator attack.
Yeah.
Or was it? They also keep referring to it as a croc, and I thought that it was only gators in Florida. But I looked it up, and you can have both because Florida is insane.
The gator/alligator debate is lost on me. I live in Washington, so I'm going to leave it up to the geniuses at Amazon Studios to figure it out.
Perfect. Whatever it is, it had a bunch of teeth. And
I did say gator, but I did say gator, but earlier it said croc, so now I don't know.
They said croc in the movie a bunch, and I was ready to call them and be like, "Yo, it's only gators in Florida." But
you're going to say, "Hey, dude, that's a crock of shit."
Exactly. Yeah. I'm ready to in a while, but you're trying to make me see you later, you know?
Yes, crocodile.
Did I make that confusing? I think I made that
No,
confusing.
I got what you were trying to say. And that's all that matters.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get some more aftermath of this. The cops come and question him about the body or what happened. So Gyllenhaal's trying to figure out why all these guys. What is it about the Roadhouse bar that is interesting, right?
Yeah.
So he goes back to the internet at the bookstore.
That's
and
what
he's
he's
searching
looking
around.
at. That's what
Yeah,
it is.
I think
Thank
he's in
you.
there another time too. But at this scene is him, just kind of looking around and trying to figure out, like looking at the map, being like, okay, it's by the water, but I guess you can't drive boats up to that bar because of the reef.
Right.
So it's not a good place for drug running because it's not there, and it's. I can't remember what the other reasoning was, but he basically at first he thinks it's a drug thing. Or somebody says, "Oh, the guy at the docks that had the dog die from the gator attack." He says that it was a drug thing, probably because there's lots of drugs. So I'm thinking, okay, this is a drug running movie again.
Why you think they call it the Keys? You got to get that line in there. That's a nice little line.
I still don't get it though. Didn't we?
Oh, the Keys. It's like a key of like a kilogram.
Okay, a kilogram. Okay, now I get it. I was thinking like using your keys to do the coke or something. Okay.
Oh, I see. Okay, I'm sorry. I missed that earlier. That was what we were talking about.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, a kilogram.
I still don't understand the Roadhouse joke. I still don't understand that one. So.
Yeah, it's a light joke.
It's
light
subtle.
On the word joke. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, he realizes through his research that it's not a good place for running drugs. So what could it be? Why is this place? Why do they want it so bad?
Mm-hmm.
Anything else on all that?
Nope. I think that's all I've got there. From here, also, they were trying to talk to Dalton, and that has been going horribly. So this time they send a guy with a gun to pick him up. So as soon as he leaves the bookstore, there's this guy outside with a gun, tells him to get in the car. And Dalton just says he's not going to do it, ends up breaking this guy's fingers so he can't use his gun.
He's like, why would you use a gun right now? I'm just going to break your fingers and you can't shoot it. And the guy's like, what? Like, why are you doing this? Why would you use a gun on me? I'm going to break your fingers. And then he does exactly that. So he can't shoot. Yeah. And then we meet Knox, I think, coming up here pretty soon.
Yes.
How do we meet this guy?
It's a little chain reaction here, but Brandt is pretty pissed off at this point. We finally get the reveal that he's trying to build a mega hotel on this island, and he gets a call in this scene from a prison. You get that, a collect number from this prison. Do you want to accept? And he throws his phone in the ocean, and it's his dad. His dad is now locked up behind bars, and his dad, after getting blown off by Brandt, calls in Knox. And do you want to?
Well, his dad. So, like you mentioned, his dad was the rich guy. He's kind of taken over his dad's business / crime dealings or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's mainly just a business, but he is getting it's not like drug running, that kind of crime stuff. But he is, trying to buy up everything in this area so he can build a giant resort for rich assholes or whatever. Yeah, and you don't ever meet the dad, and I think this dad is going to be like the sequel bad guy. He's going to get out of prison and be like, you killed my son, you killed all these people, and Knox survives at the end. So I think the dad is going to be, they're setting up kind of like a big bad for the next movie,
Have they revealed, is there a sequel coming to this? Have they
actually
said that?
Just today I read that a sequel is confirmed with Jake Gyllenhaal. Not sure any returning things. I don't know if the director's going to return again, but it is confirmed. It was a big hit.
They're doing another one. That's great. I love that.
Yeah. So yeah, when we meet Knox, Knox is played by Conor McGregor, the UFC fighter. I don't think he's ever acted before. In fact, it says in introducing Conor McGregor.
Yes.
At the end of the movie. But he plays just.
It's hard to tell if he's even acting in this movie. because that kind of just seems like who he is, you know?
Totally. Yeah,
Like
I mean, acting
90% swagger. Yeah,
he's just smiling and he's just like a total psychopath.
yeah.
And so it starts off with him. He runs out of this building in Italy completely naked. And there's like a little fight going on upstairs. It seemed like he was banging some dude's wife, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And he just walks out naked, and he's walking through a street in Italy at night, completely naked. You're seeing a lot of his butt. And then he gets a phone call, and his phone is in his sock. So the only thing he's wearing is his shoes, I guess. And he gets the same phone call from the big bad dad. Will you accept the charges? Yes. All right, like you said. Knox is now going to go help finish this job that his son can't do. And he walks up to some guy in a little night market and likes his jacket, and he beats the shit out of him, takes his clothes, and then like
burns down the night market.
It just like cuts to, he punches the guy, it cuts to him putting on the jacket, and then a bunch of fire in the background, and he's just smiling like kind of that. He's trying to be like that smiley psychopath character, you know? And I don't know if he's like a good actor, but he's just playing himself pretty well, I guess. Unhinged, as you mentioned before.
Yeah.
So
this movie doesn't have any throat rips, but it does have some of these like manic, insane moments like this that I think step up. You know, it steps up in the place of a good throat rip.
Yeah, we talked a lot last week about how Roadhouse 2, the direct-to-DVD one, they didn't try anything crazy. They didn't try... Roadhouse needs to have something like, what the fuck? That's just a crazy idea, some craziness happening, wild ideas. And this movie has some of those, which was nice.
Yeah.
Crocodile.
Yeah.
What else happens here?
Let's see. I think in my notes I've got this is where Doc comes and picks up Dalton, and they have their little sandbar date, drinking beers. And we find out a little bit about Dalton. He's from Missoula, Montana, and
Cool.
He kind of went out there to hang out with her, but didn't really realize it was going to be a date. He's like, you know, he's afraid, like, you don't know who I really am. You know, you don't really love me. And she's like, I've seen the video on YouTube. And then they make out. Did I miss anything?
I don't have anything on that, really. So, no.
Okay, cool. We still don't know what this video on YouTube is. It gets revealed a little bit later. But yeah, the romance has made it to first base. Is first base kissing?
I think first base is full penetration, but I could be wrong. It's been a while since I've played baseball.
And you'll leave it to JV. So,
my next note here is that he meets the sheriff. Is that coming up soon?
Oh yeah, big dick.
Big dick, yeah.
Let's do it, dude.
So the only, well, I guess there was some butt earlier. I was gonna say the only nudity we get is from Big Dick. No, he gets kind of like pulled. He gets a quote unquote arrested or questioned by the cops. They ask him to come with him, and taken out to like this, I don't know, like a shipyard or something. And you meet the sheriff, played by, he looks familiar. I actually don't know his name. He's in some stuff.
I didn't recognize him.
Joaquin de Alameda. I can't remember where I've seen him. But he's kind of talking to him from the front seat and telling him to like fuck off and to leave town and all this stuff. And he won't. And he takes him out and like is about to kill him, right?
Yeah.
And then the daughter shows up at the last second, or excuse me, Ellie shows up at the last second and stops it. And it turns out this is her dad.
Of course it is.
So this is the connection.
Yeah, this is the weird family connection that these movies always have.
Oh, he's Reyes from the Fast Five and Fast 10. Hernan Reyes. You remember?
Really?
Okay. So I remember when we watched Fast 10 in theaters. There's this big moment at the end where they show like, you know, the bank vault.
This is he's the guy in Brazil.
And it was like, I think he was supposed to have died in Fast 5, but they brought him back at the end of Fast 10.
Okay.
Anyway, that's where I'd seen him.
Okay, great. So all these guys, everybody in this movie is just also in Fast 10, is what I'm hearing.
Pretty much. Gyllenhaal is next. He'll be in Fast 11.
Definitely.
Yeah, so she stops him from killing him and says, "Come with me." That's about it.
Yep.
We get any more like plot stuff here?
There's a little scene of Knox showing up in Florida. It's a real kind of like I'm the captain now moment where he confronts the younger Brant and basically tells him like I'm in charge. You work for me now. We're gonna kill this dude. And Brant asks him for one last chance to solve it his own way. So that's coming up. Coming up here soon.
You do see that with the sheriff scene, you find out that he has been working with, or he had worked for the father of Brant, the one in jail. So he's slightly corrupt, maybe not like, I think it was the first movie or even maybe both movies. There was cops that are like corrupt, but also like end up doing the right thing. He's one of those kind of guys, I think.
Sure.
Yeah. Or like they're a little bit more complicated, I guess.
Yeah. Little gray area with this guy. That's fine. Yeah.
He's definitely a bad man, though.
A bad man.
He's a bad man. What else? So he shows up at the Roadhouse bar. Ben Brandt does, to do his own version of threatening Dalton, right?
Yes, sir.
And he's kind of just, he's like, I know threatening doesn't work, but it is in the end a threat, I would call it. And he ends up bringing up the UFC video that we talked about. So this kind of confirms what happened, which is when Dalton was a UFC fighter, he went a little overboard and continued to just like punch the shit out of this guy, even though he was down and the fight was basically over. He got a few extra punches in and ends up killing a guy. What was the purpose of him bringing this up? Because people already know about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't really seem like in the original movie, like there's this mysterious guy who got his throat ripped. There was a murder in Memphis that Patrick Swayze's kind of running away from. But this one happened on live TV, and like I'm sure that you're not liable for killing somebody in a fight, right? Like there's got to be paperwork.
I mean, even if he
sign
did
away everything when you fight in the UFC, right? Like
yeah.
Yeah. So, it doesn't really seem like it's leverage. It just seems like
it's not like he's wanted by the police, right?
Right. Yeah, he's like world famous, and this thing happened where he kind of like went off the handle and murdered somebody in a fight. And it also sounded like this dude used to be his friend. They bring that up, so it really just was like a heat of the moment thing where this guy just went way too far. Where Dalton,
I think he's trying to get into like his sensibilities and his psyche a little bit and kind of just like bring him down and maybe get him to just leave on his own because he doesn't want to, he's like, you don't want to be that guy, the guy who kills people again, do you? You don't want to go down that path again. I think that's his angle here.
Okay.
Something like that. It seemed like they were trying to just like ruffle his feathers a little bit by bringing this all up.
Sure. Everything else hasn't been working. You might as well see if like, his deepest, darkest secret is
trauma.
His trauma is the thing that'll get him out of town. And does it work?
But, no. Instead, I don't even know. Does he fight Brant at all, or does Knox just show up and start?
Brant just leaves. No, he walks out.
And he's like, "All right, you can do whatever the fuck you want. Fuck this guy."
Exactly.
And now Knox is free to roam. How's that fight go?
Well, he starts with the line, "Been a while since I've been clubbing," as he's holding a golf club. So this fight goes awesome.
Pretty good, yeah. Pretty good line.
Yep. He goes into the club with a golf club, like a driver, and just starts beating the shit out of things, breaking glasses, hitting tables, fucking up the bouncers.
He says, "I hate this song," and he rips the cage open and pokes his head in. But the band keeps playing.
They do, which is what we want.
Hell yeah.
And Dalton is there and just kind of letting Knox break stuff. But he finally intervenes after he breaks into the band cage.
He has a pretty good moment, a pretty good roadhouse moment, excuse me, where somebody just yells "bar fight," much like a food fight in an old movie or something.
Yes.
And everyone just starts fighting each other. For no reason. You just grab a partner and start dancing. It's grab somebody and start punch him.
And punch him in the throat. Yeah, exactly. And that leads to kind of a funny scene where Knox is all the way across the bar and Dalton has to get there. And you can just tell he's like, oh, get out of my way. Like he's like rolling his eyes as he like walks over, to fight this.
Like twisting guys' arms and pushing them out of the way and kind of like while they're just brawling in front of him. Yeah. And so they meet and have a little kerfuffle here too, right?
Yep, it's just kind of the first taste of their fight. Neither one really wins. Neither one really gets defeated. And the fight gets broken up. Knox and the boys leave, and Ellie and Frankie kind of show up to deal with the aftermath.
And the cops. But these are the wrong cops show up, as we find out later.
That's right. Yeah, these are the real cops, the ones that Brandt has not paid off.
Yeah. So a couple of their guys actually get in trouble for this, which isn't looking good for them. And then I think you get more like why the Roadhouse bar, and talking to Jessica Williams, and she's saying that she's the last holdout. Fuck these guys. I don't want to build this resort for some rich assholes.
Yep.
So they're still holding out and trying to just take care of it on their own.
But at this time, Dalton kind of decides that he's had enough. This is more than he signed up for. And in this same scene, he does quit. But on his way out of town, he misses the bus because he sees that somebody has burnt down the bookstore. So Charlie and her dad have that cute little bookstore, and they were nice to him when he showed up, and somebody burnt down the bookstore. So now he has revenge to get,
Yeah, that was, we were saying they were just there to like get him emotionally hooked into everything here.
Exactly.
And now that they use that against him, he's fully on board.
Yep.
Yep. Wasn't there something in the first Roadhouse movie that was a moment just like that? What was the thing that got him to stay in town?
They burned down the.
Well, they killed the farmer, or they burned down the farmer's house, or no, Red's place.
I think it was Red's, the hardware store. Yeah. Which was conveniently located right outside the Roadhouse. Like you could see it from.
Yeah, this one.
The front steps. Yeah,
I don't know if it was intentional, but like everything's sort of close together. But he does like have to walk. He always has to walk like a long ways down the highway to get to the work and back to where he's staying.
Yeah.
Or no, back to the bookstore and stuff. I like that they intentionally show him that he's always like just walking a long ways down the highway instead of having everything right next to each other. Not sure if that was intentional or not.
I'm sure it was. Yeah. But I agree. It's kind of a nice touch. So from there, he's pissed off, and he's kind of ready to tip over to the edge into that like evil version of him that killed a guy in that UFC fight. And he heads to Brandt's spot. So what's that actor again? The rich son. Yeah, thank you.
Billy Magnuson.
Billy Magnuson. He heads to his spot and meets up with one of the henchmen named Vince. And Vince was the guy who burned down the bookstore. And we don't get a throat rip, but we get the next best thing.
Throat punch
here, Tanner. That's right.
He punches him in the trachea and makes it so he can't breathe, and then he drowns in the pool.
He sure does. So we have entered the part of the movie where people are dying. Yeah, we're fully there.
He finds out there's a 5 a.m. meeting to like exchange money, and what is it? Who's actually giving the money to him? I forget.
I don't really know. We just know that there's a 5 a.m. meeting. Did you
somebody's giving them money for this resort, like a lot of money, and I can't remember who it is.
I honestly,
is it the cops? Is it the cops?
There's a crooked cop there.
The cop is the one taking the money onto the boat when he finds him the next morning, but I can't remember where the money actually came from. But it's very important to them.
It's a lot of money too. Yeah, it's a lot of money. There's also one of the henchmen's name is Mo, and I thought his scenes were pretty funny. He like clearly just likes Jake Gyllenhaal, and he's like way nicer than he should be.
Yeah, that guy's
the guy I'm talking about
too. Yeah.
Okay.
His name is Arturo Castro.
Okay.
And what is he even in? He was on. Oh, he was in Broad City. He was the
Broad
friend in
City.
Broad City. That's right.
Okay.
Um. Anyway, yeah, he was pretty funny. He was like kind of the nice guy. He's always like saying things like matter of factly, like giving information or being like, "I'm sorry, Dalton." Like he's kind of a
Yeah.
comedic bad guy.
He says like he like says hello to Dalton when he sees him and stuff. He's like way too nice to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I think he just says, "Hey, please don't kill me, man. I just like riding motorcycles. I'm gonna be good." And he lets him go. But that's where he finds out about the meeting.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He's really funny in Broad City too. So yeah, they show up. The guy that he killed, he keeps his body on ice in an ice chest in his boat, and I'm like, why is he keeping this guy's body fresh? But he does, and he takes it to where the meeting's gonna be, which is, or I guess not even where the meeting is, but he follows one of the cops to like a boat, and he's dragging this giant box full of money onto the boat. And then he takes the dead body out and like shoots it, and is gonna like blame. He's gonna say the cop
with the cop's gun. He shoots.
Yeah, with the cop's gun. Yeah, so he's gonna try to set up this cop and get them caught because, this cop is fucked up, and he like whacks him on the head, talking about how short-term memory, you lose your memory, which he ends up not losing his memory and remembers all this happening. But I love that he takes the money and puts it in the boat and just sends the boat straight out into the ocean. It's just kind of like how in the first two movies, they have a scene where the car just drives on its own.
Yes.
It kind of reminded me of that. And the boat just goes off, right?
Yeah.
Then he finds it later. Somehow.
Well, yeah, the money turns back up, so I don't know how he gets it, but yeah, he's like, you're down a sheriff's boat. Yeah, I don't know. It's a ton of money. He just puts it in the boat and sends it out to sea.
Yeah, I didn't think about that till right now. How does he get that money back? Because the whole time he's using it as leverage with the bad guys. Like, you can't kill me yet till we get that money. They're like, where's my money? It's not on this boat. You're going to have to keep me alive longer so I can get you that money.
I guess there is that scene later where he borrows the doctor's boat. Maybe there's a part we don't see where he goes and finds the money or something. But that seems like a mission.
Maybe it ends up on that little spit where they had their little hangout in the middle of the ocean, and it just kind of crashes there. But I mean, to know that would just be a straight ahead anyway.
Or maybe it was guided back by the spirit of that dog, Chauncey or Chapoopy. And it just takes him back to the boat for him,
Maybe he set it on a course straight to Cuba from the Florida Keys, and it landed on the Cuban coast.
Love it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that all happens, and now they threaten him again by saying, we've kidnapped Ellie, and you're going to have to come with us to save her. And this is where he steals her ex-boyfriend's boat, which it was just like a quick little scene. I guess she brought him up earlier in the movie. I don't remember.
Yeah, she makes it clear earlier that it's not her boat, it's her ex's boat, but he lets her use the boat.
Gotcha.
They said that earlier, so now we meet the ex, who's kind of a jerk, and he promises, or he's like yelling at him from the dock, "You better bring it back without a scratch." Spoiler, he does not bring it back without a scratch.
Yeah.
Yeah. What happens instead, Tanner? Because he takes that boat.
Let's see. Is this where he shows up at the boat meeting in the middle of the ocean?
Sure does. Yep.
Yeah, so he gets the word that Ellie's been kidnapped by her father, the corrupt sheriff. So he's like, I need your help. Like, I do love my daughter. I need your help out here. Then when he shows up at the boat meeting, the sheriff's there and is like, are you kidding me? I would never let them take Ellie. We just said that to get you here. So he's bad again. And he's like, ooh, there's like a double cross on a double cross happening.
Yeah.
And one of those just constant double crosses. And then immediately there's another double cross where he's like, well, Ben Brandt was like, well, actually, I did kidnap Ellie.
I did kidnap your daughter.
There's a lot of shit.
It's like, ooh, a double cross again. Yeah, he's kind of narrating it inside.
I wrote here before all that happens that there's a scene of Knox like driving a car super fast and just like drinking coconut after coconut, and there's just like 10 coconuts on the ground in the passenger seat. Did you see that?
I did see that. I thought that was a really nice touch. That was a funny character thing for him, and that's the kind of batshit stuff that you need in one of these movies, I think.
Yeah, this guy's just having fun with it all. He's just every day he's showing up to these fights and like smiling, and he's just drinking coconuts and crashing cars into walls and into other bikes and stuff. He just like he'll steal a car and just crash it and get out and then move on to the next thing.
Yeah, and his scene here, because he crashes that car at the Roadhouse and then looks around and he's like, "Where is everybody?" And then we see him again. He's like, he's found his own boat and he's coming out to this meetup as well, presumably just because he was bored.
Yeah, I mean, he's still. You know? I mean, I guess he's still being paid by the dad or whatever.
Oh, that's true. He still has to
do all this.
Yeah, but.
Yeah. So, what happens on the boat here, Chris?
So they kind of talk about it. But as we kind of established before, Dalton does not have this money that he needs to come up with to get the doctor back. And so instead, he left a bomb on the boat that he stole from the doctor's boyfriend. And he uses this opportunity to blow that boat and the yacht that Ben Brandt's yacht sky. So he detonates the bomb. Both those boats start sinking, and
he rigged like a key fob, the boat's key fob or whatever, to make it explode. Yeah, and he doesn't quite have the line on it at first, so he has to like lean over and like get closer to it, and it goes off.
Yeah,
blows up. Bunch of chaos.
Yes. Crazy manic scene here. They kind of run around. Dalton finds the doctor like below deck in one of the bedrooms and helps her escape. Dalton punches a bunch of dudes in the water. Bunch of water punches, I read.
Yeah, swim fighting.
Yeah.
The boat is sinking because of this explosion, and everyone's kind of getting on their own boats. Brandt kidnaps Ellie and gets on a boat, and then Knox is like trying to run everybody over on his boat, just driving around like a maniac.
Yeah, he is.
Does Gyllenhaal get on Knox's boat? I forget.
He gets on Knox's boat, and because Knox is trying to hit him with the boat, and the first time he comes by, Dalton holds a guy up so that the boat will hit him. So that's how he KOs one of the bad guys. It's a pretty badass little scene. And then the next time he buzzes by, Gyllenhaal's able to just reach aboard and grab hold of the side of this boat while it's going like, I don't know, 30, 45 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not that fast. Boats are always a little slower. It's like, I don't know, 25, 30 miles an hour. It seems like you just rip your arm right out of the socket. But it's how he does it.
Yeah, he's getting pulled on the back of the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the boats are playing chicken with each other. At one point, they're like about to ram each other, and then they do. And Dalton like flies. That boat crashes, and Dalton flies onto the other boat. But Brandt doesn't see that he landed on the boat, right?
Well, he sees him, but he doesn't really like go shoot him or like throw him off the boat or anything. He just keeps driving because he is trying to get to. I think at this point his plan is to just burn down the Roadhouse.
He's like, "Fuck it, I'm going to go to the Roadhouse and just fucking take care of it.
Do it myself."
That's what he says. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so they have a little fight again on this boat. Him and the girl are there. Dalton and the girl are on the boat, and he's fighting Brandt. While Brandt is like headlong, going straight for the Roadhouse as fast as possible. At the last second, they jump out of the boat, and the boat just crashes into the side, and Brandt goes flying onto the roof of the Roadhouse. Very chaotic moment. Pretty fun.
Yeah, super fun. A little bit of that CGI thing you were talking about before, but it's a super fun scene. And after this, like you said, Brandt landed on the roof. The boat totally ruins the front deck. And we also find out that Knox survived.
And Knox continuously just like comes back to life kind of thing. He's kind of just constantly keeps coming. He reminded me of like the T-1000 from Terminator 2 or something. He just he's constantly coming.
Or the fisherman from I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Exactly. He's a lot like that.
Yeah.
Complete with the fisherman hook.
Yep. And the teen blood. No, I don't know what else. Anyway, so Dalton shows up. He swims into shore. He almost gets harpooned and goes, "A fucking fishing spear!" And he's about to kill Brant when Knox crashes a truck through the wall. So he had managed to get to shore himself and found a truck. And we get a kind of their big showdown at the end. It's a pretty fun fight scene between Knox and Dalton here at the end in the roadhouse.
At one point, he like smashes through the band cage and like all the instruments are clanging around, and then on the piano as well, and like just bang, bang, bang. You hear the piano keys hitting, and he's like, "This piano's untuned," and then he punches him again. Sounds pretty good to me, you know.
Yeah.
So using a lot of these bar pieces pretty well for this fight.
Yeah.
Is this the final? Is this the final fight with them?
I think it's the final fight. Yeah, I'm on the last page of my notes.
Oh, it gets very stabby. Knox ends up coming in. Oh, yeah, right when he does, he ends up killing Billy Magnuson's character, right?
Yeah.
He breaks his neck. He's like, "When will you shut the fuck up?" or something. You ever just be quiet or something? And he just kills him. And then just stabby fights. And these are really insane stabs, right? I've never seen so many stabs in succession played for like fun fight. You know what I mean? Not like this isn't like a Halloween movie, someone getting stabbed brutally to death. I mean, it is brutal, but it's like it's comical almost how many stabs he gets.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Dalton gets stabbed once in the side, and then Knox finds another knife and tries to stab him with that one. But Dalton has a knife now, so he pulls his wound knife out, and like so many stabs, like 10 in a row that he gets Knox with. And you think he's dead. You really think he's dead at this point, but we already kind of alluded to he survives the end of this movie. But he's kind of done in this scene. The doctor walks in, and we're not sure if she's still into him or what the deal is.
Yes, this is the moment, like in the first movie, where she witnesses the throat rip and is like,
"Yes,
oh god, this guy's too violent for me. I can't be around this guy." That's kind of how it felt this moment.
He did just stab somebody about 15 times, so might be the right move.
He was trying to kill him. Have you seen this Knox character? This guy's a maniac.
He's crazy. He's crazy.
And her dad, the corrupt sheriff, says, "Get out of here. I got you covered. You were never here."
Yeah.
But one thing I was thinking, like, she shows up and like tells him to leave. You know, we'll take care of this. But she should really like stitch him up a little bit. I mean, he's been stabbed several times. Before he goes, maybe like put a bandage on or something.
Yeah, and give him some Neosporin at least. You don't want to get an infection when you're out there cooling.
I also like how so this happened at the bar, and then they come in to see the wreckage again after the bodies have left, and they're like, "Oh fuck, we got a lot of cleanup to do." But seems like everything has worked out for the Roadhouse bar at this point, and a customer walks in and is like, "Hey, are you guys open?" She's like, "Yeah, we're always open," and the place is like covered in blood and completely wrecked.
Yeah,
so that's a nice little touch there that they were open.
Yeah.
How does this wrap up here at the end?
Yeah, we see him waiting to catch the bus, and it cuts into the bookstore again where Charlie and her dad are working, and Charlie's dad finds that giant box of money that's gone missing. And so it looks like they're going to have the money to rebuild their bookstore.
Or anything else. Like, they mentioned how the bookstore's not really making any money because he's got a second job.
Do you know what they should do, Tanner, with all that money?
They should work at the bookstore, actually.
They should buy out all the property of all the other businesses on this island on the cheap and then build a giant mega resort.
Oh my God. Then turn that money into more money.
Oh, dude.
Hell yeah, brother.
Profit on profit on profit. I love
Let's go. They should, work at the bookstore full time now. Get some more books, like stock the shelves with even more books.
Yeah, I mean, now you can have all 7 of the Harry Potter books instead of just the first 3.
They were missing a big part of that collection.
They just couldn't afford the last.
Like, I don't know how this is going to end.
Yeah. Does Voldemort win? Who can know?
Who knows? Yeah, and he just he gets on a bus and takes off to clean up the next Roadhouse bar, probably.
Yep, he's off to Dalton somewhere else.
No happy ending for him and the girl in this one. Yeah, I felt that was like a choice a little bit.
Yeah, but I mean,
the
they clearly wanted a sequel to this one, and I don't know that the one in 1989 really did in the same way.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
they definitely left it open for a sequel because at the very end as well, they have like a little long credits montage thing, and then they show Knox. They show a little like chaotic scene happening behind the doors inside of a hospital, and you see like blood on the window and like all these doctors being thrown around, and then you see Knox walking out and you get another shot of his ass from behind
you sure do.
The restaurant.
The last shot
gown.
in this movie is Conor McGregor's ass.
Perfect.
Yep.
Starts with the Post Malone and ends with Conor McGregor's ass. That's my kind of movie. Yeah, so they definitely left it open for a sequel there. We'll talk about that in a sec. Yes, Chris?
Well. Yeah, what'd you think, man?
Yeah, I thought it's pretty fun. I mean, overall, I did enjoy watching this movie. It's pretty entertaining. I wouldn't say it's a stone cold classic, and I still have a hinge of like anything is an affront to the original. You know, like I'm just like nothing is good enough. It doesn't need. They could have just made like a badass movie with Jake Gyllenhaal involving bar fighting. You know what I mean? And not even called it Roadhouse.
Yeah,
but I guess that brings half the audience there immediately.
They have to tie it to IP these days, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So they did it this way.
So I mean, but overall, it was fun. They kept a lot of the lunacy, the craziness of it all. Maybe even too much in some ways. But yeah, no throat rips. I was a little disappointed. Overall, I had a good time. Better than I thought when I first saw the trailer, for sure. Yeah. This isn't Point Break remake level, right? You know, like that is like
this is much better than
a catastrophe of a movie. But this is pretty fun.
Agreed.
What'd you think?
Yeah, it's. I would agree with most of what you said. Yeah, it's a fun watch. I think most of the main characters are pretty well acted. It's very well put together. I enjoyed it. I think start to finish. I think it was a good remake, and it was a pretty fun watch. It kind of traded out some of the sexiness of the original with like UFC kind of gritty stuff.
Yeah.
For like a fight audience, like you can kind of tell this is made for like fans of UFC and like that kind of audience. And you know that's fine. Yeah, and I'm sure it probably made more money that way.
What was that guy's name? Bicycle Chad or Motorcycle Chad?
Oh, yeah. What was his name?
Something Chad.
Outlaw Chad.
This was made for Outlaw Chads for sure.
Big time. Yeah, and so I missed a little bit of that sexiness, and you know, part of what makes the original so great is just Patrick Swayze. And Jake Gyllenhaal, as great as he is, you know, I prefer Patrick Swayze. And so, yeah, I don't know. I won't say run out and watch it right now, but it's a pretty fun watch. I did enjoy this movie quite a bit.
Yeah, it's fun. So yeah, this movie came out on streaming, like we mentioned. It is not in theaters, so we don't have any box office stuff, but it costs $85 million to make. So relatively high budget, though not as big as some stuff these days.
Sure.
But it had 50 million viewers in the first 2 weeks, which was Amazon's largest movie debut ever. And it says so far it has 80 million total, is what I read today. Total views, however that's counted. It's streaming, so you know the number's a little fudgy sometimes, I feel like.
Sure.
But successful enough that they just greenlit a sequel. And we've kind of talked about how it left it open for sequel with Knox returning at the end. That's a shoo-in. He's going to be back. We get Gyllenhaal back. And then I'm assuming the dad is going to show up as like the big bad, him and Knox together fighting Dalton for who knows where it's going to go. But
do you think they'll put it in the Florida Keys again, or do you think they're going to mix up the location?
Well, yeah, it's called The Boat. So it's going to take place on the boat.
Fair enough.
Boat,
And
boathouse.
the crocodile / alligator that we couldn't figure out is going to have a speaking part in the next one.
Oh, all the budget's gonna go to talking gators.
Just CGI.
Crocs.
Yeah. What?
Croc House.
Hell yeah.
Brought to you by Croc Shoes, of course. Yeah. So, Chris, do you think? Are you excited for the sequel? That's my next question.
I'm excited to watch it. I mean, I think if they get the same director back and they, I think, have the same blend of madness and Florida vibes, I think that it will be a lot of fun. You know, I'm excited to watch it. Do you think they should make a sequel to this one?
I mean, it's big enough. It's happening already.
Yeah.
I guess what's going to happen is the original is just going to be forgotten in this movie. This will have its own franchise of popularity in its own right, and the old one will kind of be like a relic of, you know, people that really know what's up. But I feel like this has a very general audience appeal.
Mm-hmm.
Like the type of people who maybe aren't like movie heads or something like that, you know, that don't like, you know, I read
that
some
don't know like a cult classic movie from 2 years after they were born.
Yeah. They don't. There's a lot of people that don't go back and like watch old movies or know anything about the history of that kind of stuff. They definitely don't watch all three of them in a row like we did. And so this franchise will
recommend watching too. Yeah.
Skip that one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it'll survive on its own and its own merits and it'll be fun. I do wish when these things happen, like I said, they just had a different title. It can still be the same general story. Just try to make your own thing out of it. Yeah, I did read some reviews. People were like, I went back and watched the original after this movie, so maybe people will discover it.
There we go.
It'll still help. Yeah, it'll still make people realize how awesome that old one is, just based on this popularity. Which
we'll get some more eyeballs on that monster truck fight.
If that's the case, then I'm happy it exists. Yes.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to talk about is this movie it has some legal troubles. I don't know if I teased it last week a little bit, and honestly, I don't know a ton about it. It's still kind of in development, but the original writer of the first movie, R. Lance Hill, is suing Amazon for copyright infringement and for some other stuff, which is pretty crazy stuff. He's saying that he had been trying to get the rights back from from MGM for a while so he owns the rights to the Roadhouse script. But as he was trying to get these rights developed, which is a thing people can do, especially if your script's been sitting around a long time and there's nothing really happening. He was actively trying to get the rights back. Instead, they ignored his pleas and his whatever court filings to get the copyright back, and instead made a reboot of it while he was in the midst of doing this to make their own franchise out of it.
Interesting. Okay.
So that means he can't really get it back now because now it's its own thing. It's a new thing that it's profitable to them.
It's the exact same title, and both use the neon. It's the same thing. Yeah.
It's Dalton too. Yeah, the same character.
Yeah.
It is the same thing, and that's fine. They own the rights to it, but he was trying to get the rights back, and instead they're like, well, instead of giving you the rights, we're gonna make it into a thing. So now it's
we're gonna do it and cut you out completely.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's what he's claiming, and he calls it copyright, but technically they did own the rights to it. But I have heard of these things where, long dead franchises and stuff, people are like, just give me the rights back to this and I'll, so I can hold on to it. But they went ahead and made the reboot anyway. But the crazy part about this lawsuit also is that he's claiming that they use a bunch of AI in this movie. So part of the lawsuit is that he is blaming, or he is not blaming. What am I trying to say? He's trying to say that this company used AI. Help me out with the word here, Chris.
He's accusing?
He's accusing them, thank you, of using AI to finish this movie because right as the strike was about to happen, the big actor strike that just happened, they had a deadline set for this, and they're trying to get it done before the strike happened. And so they what he's claiming is that they use AI for a ton of ADR lines for the actors in this movie.
Interesting.
And they, of course, say that there's no merit to this situation, but there was some other producer who had backed out early on in development because he didn't want to use. He's like, I didn't agree with that they were going to use AI as part of this movie, and that's like details are kind of under wraps about it, but potentially they. This writer is claiming as well that they use AI to finish the movie and like,
isn't that just
speed
like
up the process.
plausible though? Isn't it just like plausible
100%.
that they use AI? And doesn't that break your heart a little bit?
It does. I mean, I've been kind of turning. I was against AI in creative spaces, but recently I've been kind of like, okay, I see its use in certain ways, and how it can be creative still to use AI. Not in this situation. This is like we're speeding it up and like doing it for cheap, right? We're not going to pay the actors to come in,
because so we don't have
AI.
to pay people as much. We're
And this is
using
what
AI.
a huge part of the strike was. So this doesn't happen, and instead, this movie is accused of using it to before the strike had happened, before they changed all that. They're like, all right, while we still can, let's use AI and finish the fuck out of this movie.
Wow.
Which is
okay.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know if it's true. Maybe this guy's just bitter because he lost his IP, his only thing that he ever made.
Well,
big.
if
sucks.
they had used AI, maybe they would have been able to explain how that money got into the bookstore a little bit better.
Yeah, exactly.
AI, do better. Do better.
Do
AI.
better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So either way, I feel like Amazon or MGM or whatever it is, it's a big conglomerate. Fuck this guy over, it seems like, in some ways, and like he probably isn't getting paid very much for like being considered a writer on the movie, or they're probably paying him very little to use the Roadhouse IP, and he's like, fuck, no, it's a huge franchise. He fucked me over. I'm on his side in this. I hope, whatever. I don't care about the big company, that's for sure.
Yeah,
but who knows if it's even true.
I hope that there are spaces for people to write movies and do their, like own shit like this. That is kind of a bummer that it just kind of became part of the MGM Amazon Conglomero Corp. And this guy got kind of pushed to the sides. But
I did want to say, as far as like, using AI creatively, I just yesterday I had this huge revelation, or talking to people about, there's this YouTube channel called Obscure Vinyl that does like AI music that's actually, it's like very silly, like the lyrics are like filthy and ridiculous and about like taking a shit on the company dime and stuff like that, but they really sound like real songs. Like, I've never heard this quality of stuff, and they're actually like pretty good. And the thing is, like, at first I was like, oh fuck that's scary that anything can be made with AI. But then you kind of learn that it's like a different skill that people have, where this is kind of just a tangent about AI. There's a different skill where people that know how to like manipulate the AI to get what they want out of it. So like, maybe I don't know how to play all these instruments, but I know how to basically write the code, quote unquote, for this AI program to create the song I'm hearing in my head, right? So you basically, through like, remapping and telling it exactly every second of the song what to put right here, you're building a song using AI to make the sounds, but you're still like kind of creating it. It's not just like, hey, create a song, boom. Anyway, I think there's a little bit more to that creative side that I didn't realize before. Did that make any sense?
It did make sense. I still don't love it, because I think that part of the, oh man, how do I want to say this? There's a lot of work that like went into becoming like a good guitarist. So when you put your name on something with like a guitar fucking part that you put in a song, like you do, like there's a lot of knowledge and a lot of like, you're standing on top of a lot of practice and all that. And for you to just be able to write a couple paragraphs into a language platform or a music platform, and it poops out a whole thing. I don't know. Like, music's what we're supposed to be doing, is kind of what I think. And like letting computers do it all, I just think is stupid. And it's not fair to the rest of us, because like we had no input, and 7 business salamanders from Silicon Valley just got to decide that this is how it is now. and
Yeah.
that sucks. So I understand.
I'm with you on that side, and I honestly
yeah,
and like I said, I was there 24 hours ago. I was in agreement with you, and then just the way my friend Ben explained it to me, just to explain some aspects of it at least, how you're just like the building blocks of it are very specific. Because when I've tried to use like an image generator, my images don't get that good. But if you know how to like use the AI to get what you want to create, that is its own skill set. It does take a lot of time. It's not just like just pooping it out. I know it seems like it, but anyway, it just was a different perspective that I hadn't heard before, and it's on my mind today.
Okay.
Again, I'm not agreeing with using AI as like a means to get out of paying somebody or like making something for cheaper, or especially actors and stuff like that. That's fucked up. And I'm glad they won their, came out on top in the strike. Anyway, just some interesting conversation that I thought.
I think like we talked about the CGI in this one being like a little uncanny valley, and I think like there's going to be, I think AI is going to be part of the conversation in pretty big ways with current movies like this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think this conversation's over for our show.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and it's one of those things where I'm like, was I being just kind of, like I said, I agreed with you, and I still do in theory that there's like no heart behind it. There's no human side from it. There's none of that skill and hard work put into it. And I still do agree with it. But I'm also like, God, am I just being like blind that it's just going to happen anyway, regardless of me, digging my heels in the sand or whatever.
It might happen anyway, but I'm still going to be a fucking grumpus about it. You know what I mean? That's my take.
Enough.
It's fucking coming, but I don't have to like it.
Damn, Dalton. You said it, Dalton. It's fucking coming, but I don't have to like it. There's the tagline for the next Roadhouse movie. Anyway.
Put that on the DVD cover. Yeah, man.
So, anyway, we got there from that lawsuit. That lawsuit's happening. And that's the end of Roadhouse. What's that?
I think if there's already a sequel that's been greenlit, like we'll get to do another Roadhouse episode in another, year and a half, hopefully, and we'll get to maybe check in on how the lawsuit went.
I can't wait till some of these franchises, we've talked about it before, that we've done, come out with the newer version of it, and then we get to revisit it. It's going to be really fun.
It's going to be really just like one-off episodes where we get to catch up, and it's going to be awesome. So,
well, I think that's it for the Roadhouse franchise, Chris. There's only one thing left to do at the end of a franchise.
Is it time to rank them?
Are you ready to rank?
Oh, I'm ready to rank. I'm stanking for a ranking.
This will be a quick one.
I think so too. Do you want to go first so I can agree
I'll go
with
first.
You? Great.
Sure. Yes. Number 2. I'm just kidding.
Starting in the middle, as we often do. Yeah.
I mean, you just said, should I agree with you? So I wanted to throw you off a little bit.
Okay.
No, it's obviously the original Roadhouse is number 1 for me. And then the remake here is going to be the number 2, the second best one. And then the direct-to-DVD shitty sequel, Last Call, is going to be dead last, way deep in the last place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that what you got?
No disagreements here. And again, that one was direct to DVD. For what it was fine. But yeah, it's a real stinker of a film. This one was pretty fun, but it does not get to the 1989 one for me. So I agree with you. Original, remake, DVD, direct to DVD in that order.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Anything else you want to talk about on this franchise or this movie, Chris, that we didn't touch on?
Any MVPs or problems that you had with this movie? I think we kind of missed that.
Yeah, I think I said, I didn't say MVP, but Doug Liman, the director, is probably the what's made this all come together. His kind of frenetic action style fits a movie like this. It's kind of got that tone of, it never gets, it's dark and brutal and violent in on paper, but it's played for fun,
Yeah.
which is the right tone for something like this. So I think he did a good job. And the beef would just be no throat ripping, utilizing the name and milking the name for what it's worth, just to make money is a thing. I do think it's obviously a lot better than that, but yeah. What about you?
No, I think director's a great thing to toss it to. Yeah, I mean, I really like Conor McGregor. I thought he was really funny and manic and crazy and matched some of that energy. Ben Brandt, the actor who played him, was great. I think setting it in Florida and giving it some like local flavor. Because do we even know where the original was filmed? The 1989 one? It's just
Where it
kind of
was
like
filmed?
or where it was set. Was it in Texas or
I
it's
think
kind of
they
like
mentioned it. I thought it was
Missouri. It's in Missouri.
Is it?
I thought so. I could be wrong.
I don't know why I thought it was on the Bayou. Oh, that's the second one.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's in Missouri. Could be.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I liked the Florida setting, the Florida Keys, and just kind of doing.
You're right. It was Missouri. Yep.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. I don't know. I thought the setting was a nice touch in this one too. So, one of those for MVP, or maybe
Cool.
Post Malone for his 13 seconds at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. He's so good.
He's so good.
He was so good. All those tats.
Yeah.
His tats do a lot of the heavy lifting, I'll say.
Lift with your knees, not with your back, like they said twice in this movie.
That's just good advice for like general
for life,
like when you move or something,
mm-hmm.
Moving large things. Yeah.
But that's all I got on these movies. You got anything else, or there's no milk this week? Should we tease maybe what we're jumping into next week?
Yeah. It involves a wacky cat who hates Mondays but loves lasagna.
Uh-huh.
And we're not talking about what's another famous cat?
Heathcliff.
We're not talking about Heathcliff.
We're not talking about Felix the cat.
You know what? Nobody talks about Heathcliff like they used to. And
back in the good old days. No, we're watching Garfield. Big 180 from Roadhouse to Garfield. But if you want to hear us talk about Bill Murray and the newest remake and a bunch of weird internet shit, check out our Garfield episodes the next couple of weeks.
We're going to be watching the theatrical released Garfield movies. So there's a ton of content, and we're going to get to some stuff for sure. But mainly just focus on the two Bill Murray ones, and then the remake that's coming out in a few weeks here. So that's the inspiration for it, is that new movie.
Yep.
Played by Chris Pratt. So we'll see. We'll see how that is. We might have a few weeks of slogs to get through, Chris.
That's all right.
I haven't heard good things about those 2000s Garfield movies, but we'll see.
You know, we were blessed with Roadhouse here. If we got to slog a little bit to deal with lasagna on Mondays, so be it. You know,
Slogzanya.
Slogzanya. Yep.
Chris, thanks for listening, everybody. If you liked the episode, please like and subscribe. Give a review on Spotify or Apple or whatever, and also take the survey for this movie for Roadhouse 2024. It's going to be in the show notes below. In your app, you see those words where it describes this episode. There it is, right there. Click on that.
Yep. If you do that, we'll read the jokes you make next week.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you then. All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Ooh-wee.